Thank you, Runel, and good morning to everybody. It's wonderful to have you here at UJ. So once again, welcome at this wonderful university. And officially welcome to the first Winter's Day of 2015. I don't know about you, but this morning when I got out of bed, I thought I should rather stay in bed. So winter has caught up with us. But what I found fascinating about the launch and the celebration of our relationship today with the Richard Maponya Institute for Entrepreneurship and UJ is that there's always a change of seasons. And we are much more fascinated by the change in seasons than to be forever in love with spring. And this is what is remarkable about this day. So especially, Dr. Maponya, to you, you are UJ's grandfather. And I think last year, I just heard that your birthday will be on the 24th of December this year, when you'll be turning into a wise 95 years. And so we are so honored that you've decided to, let's call it kick off, or, well, no, let's call it just run, because you don't kick off, you just move. Here at UJ, we're celebrating this wonderful birthday. And I recall the last time that we saw each other was at Turban Hall last year with Bob Besrich when he was here in South Africa, when you invited him to speak to us. And at that stage, we referred to you as the angel on top of the UJ Christmas tree. And now I realize that your birthday is on the 24th, and the 25th is Christmas. So this is definitely not, this is part of the bigger picture. But then also a special word of welcome to the other members of the Maponya family who are with us this morning. I'd like to acknowledge the presence here of the First Secretary of the Embassy of Brazil. Eric, it's wonderful to have you with us this morning, and welcome to the UJ family. This is his first visit to the university, and hopefully not the last. And interestingly, I've just heard that his grandmother got to the ripe age of 107 years. So there's still a couple of years to go, you know. We need to get things done. And then also to our Deputy Vice Chancellor, Research, Postgraduate, the Library, and Internationalization, and there's a couple of other portfolios to be added, Professor Chalitsi Marwala. Professor Marwala, thank you for investing time in us and in this incredibly important project. And I know this project is also a brainchild of conversations that you've had with several people. So thank you for putting the network together so that the Faculty of Management can take a step forward in this. And then to all the trustees of the Richard Maponya Trust, and to all the colleagues, Sam, to you and the team from the Institute being here, thank you very much for this wonderful collaboration. We started about 6 months ago with all the formalities. And my goodness, but there's a lot of paper that was generated in this process. But today we are signing and we are moving forward. And one thing that I really appreciate about this process is that we are building a house from a solid foundation. There's no nonsense here. And we all know exactly where we stand, what our roles are, and how we'd like to move with this. And this we really appreciate as a university and as a Faculty of Management. So Sam, to you and the team, thank you very much for pulling your weight absolutely 100%. And it was just fun working with you and to conceptualize the whole idea. I think, okay, now I'm done with the speech part. Now I'd like to tell a story, if you don't mind, Dr. Maponya. I don't like the speech thing, I can rather tell stories. And it's actually a story about a young man and a young woman who were walking along the beach. And after a while, they started to explore the caves in this beach. And inside one of these caves, they found an old leather bag. And inside this leather bag was a whole lot of clay balls. And they didn't look like much. They just looked as though they were kind of rounded by hand and then left in the sun to dry. So they picked it up and they walked on. And then after a while they got bored, and you know, as young folks are, and they started to take the balls and throw them into the ocean. And one by one, there was about 5 of these balls left. And then one of the balls broke open on a rock, and inside was a diamond this size. Well, with a man of your stature, let's make it this size. And they said, my goodness, this is fantastic, but let's just see what the others look like. And they opened another one, and there was another big diamond. Oh my goodness, and then they realized that they had thrown something like 50 of these balls into the ocean. What a waste. So what is the moral of the story? The thing is, that every day we encounter what looks like clay balls, but we don't often stand and reflect on the magic of it and the true value of this. This morning, you said that at UJ there's always an event, and if it's the signing off, we make an event of it. Well, I think one thing which is true about our continent is our ability to bounce back and to make the best of things. In order to do so, you need to kind of say, what can I do and focus on to make a difference? What do I have to let go of? And if something goes right, we celebrate. And this morning we celebrate you and the Institute. And that's how it is. So I think there are three balls that I'd like to point out this morning. And the first one is the magic of partnering with the Institute. Since you walked the graduation stage in 2010, this faculty, with your honorary doctorate, the faculty has conferred a further 11,000 qualifications to students, among which about 2,000 postgraduate students. And we believe that working together with the Institute will add so much more real understanding to our graduates on the way forward. And the key thing is, if you are led by a role model and not led by another continent story, but our own country story, and you can hear from the voice of the man who created the story, it gives it a different dimension. So we are very fortunate to be able to work with you, to be part of the story. And then what is also important, Dr. Maponya, is that we are now rapidly expanding our impact, not just on university students, but people who are in industry and other entrepreneurs. At the moment, we have enrolled beyond our formal enrollment of 9,000 students, a further close to 6,000 students in companies and in small businesses as well. And we're investing hugely in online learning and ways of learning in which we've never done before, in order to increase our impact, not just in the country, but in the continent as well. And then what is also important for us is we just concluded in this week an idea where there are 4 international universities. One, the UCLA Anderson School of Management in the US, the Cultural University in Beijing, South Carolina University, and ourselves in a specific module aimed at the USA in promoting entrepreneurship. So slowly but surely the footprint is expanding. And it's wonderful to tap into your ideas. They kind of work well. And then what is really important at the end of the day, and this is something that we don't always recognize, is the journey of UJ and the journey of the faculty. And I'm very glad to report to you that about 3 weeks ago, the international rankings came out again. And UJ maintained its position under the top 4% in the world. Now, this doesn't sound like much, but take into account that there are 16,822 universities worldwide. Then it becomes a different story. And the great news that I want to share with you is that the Faculty of Management emerged under the top 300 in the world. And so we are very thankful for that. So there's a huge evolution taking place. Then the second clay ball that I'd like to share with you this morning is, don't think we should ever forget to ask ourselves, who are we? And where do we come from? Because if you haven't answered those questions, how will you know where you're going to? And there's a lot of questions being asked in our own country, in our continent. And we ask ourselves, who are we as people of this continent? And what is our story? The funniest thing that I saw recently when I went through a customs was a form that we had to fill in. Have you recently been to the city of Nigeria? Have you been to the city of Botswana? And I thought, okay, well, people don't really know that this continent consists out of 54 states, each one with its own complex history. So how do we make sense of this? What I found fascinating is when you look at the flight patterns out of the continent, everything goes out of the continent from different big cities, but there's very little traffic between our respective countries. And the same thing with the flow of students. How do we turn that around? You built the Richard Maponya Mall, or the Maponya Mall in Soweto, to retain business. Isn't there something that we can learn as universities? And how do we create the new intellectual power in our continent from this university? Or how do we as a university contribute to that? So these are really important questions that we are asking ourselves and doing something about. And then what is really important is that we our library has agreed, and this is part of our agreement, will capture the Dr. Richard Maponya legacy. And we will have many conversations with you, and would love to archive your materials in such a way that students of the future, current students, can access this and get to understand our story. I'm a bit kind of onerous here, but our story. And then the final thing is, the final table is that I think this is something which I said at graduation yesterday, and this is that these youngsters graduating now have got two things that many of us didn't have when we were still younger. Now remember, I was born before technology. That Professor Mawala was after that, so I mean, it gives you an idea. So you see, the one thing is, all of them have got a cell phone in their pockets in some other way, so they are connected. They've got incredible access to information, and they've got a credible certificate, which not many people can have. And what do we do with this? This is a wonderful clay ball. It looks so obvious, and we assume wonders about it. Now, do we throw it in the ocean, or we take the diamond out of it and do something with it? And that is where the inspirational factor comes in. And then finally, I'd like to conclude, because, Dr. Maponya, I profess as a management scientist, but I have a burning question, and it's really bothering me. How do you get it to look so good and healthy at 95? This is something that this is perhaps one of the key answers to sustainability theory, to understand how this works. So with all of this, I'd just like to say, Kyaleboha, Kafe, Siyabonga. Thank you. Bye, dankie.
The University of Johannesburg. Rethink, reinvent.